Oregon State versus Oregon, Autzen Stadium, Saturday, September 20th, 12 p.m. on Big Ten Network. 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern time. And all you people in the middle, you know how to get it. Oregon is favored by 34.5 points. The over-under in this game is somewhere between 55 and 56.5, depending on where you can get it. And the Oregon Ducks come in this game 3-0, ranked number 6 in the country. Oregon State, unranked and 0-3. This rivalry has been played since 1894. Ducks are clearly winning this series, and the last meeting was last year in 2024. Oregon won 49-14. Before we get started, I'm George Wrighster, former NFL player, college football player, college football analyst for CW. Make sure that you like, subscribe, get notifications, tell a friend about the show, and be one of us. We got to have a serious conversation about this game because it is going to be paused next year because there isn't future games on the schedule, but then it may be resumed back in 2027. This frustrates me a little bit because I don't believe in sympathy in college football and sports or anything like that. But what has happened to Washington State and what has happened to Oregon State with conference realignment has been absolutely awful. And it's actually done something to kill this rivalry. Honestly, it hurts me because Oregon State are proud people and I respect them. And this now feels like a game that should be a bye game. A game where Oregon should be paying Oregon State to make sure that they can help pay their bills at this point. And that doesn't seem right. So here's the story. I'm going to take you guys back to the year 2000. Game week. We're going out to go eat, me and my roommate at the time, Sammy Parker, and we decide that we're going to go to Red Robin. And we go in Red Robin, and who do we see sitting there? Mr. TJ Hushmanzada. And he's sitting there with a young lady, he's sitting there with his kid, and we're like, uh-oh, opportunity here. I asked the waitress, yo, can I have a piece of paper or a note? She brings back a piece of paper and a pen. I write a note to TJ Hushmanzada, like, hey, yo, you shouldn't have came out here to Eugene. We're going to whoop your ass, right? She passes him the note. She has no idea what the note says. And he looks around. He's like, yo, what the hell is going on? And when you hear him tell this story too, you guys can ask him about it. I'd love to. Actually, I'm going to get him on the show so he can tell this story too. From his version of the story, he gets the note. And instead of being a proactive protector of his girl and of his kid, he decides that he's going to send them to the car and he's going to fight right there in the restaurant. And we think that this is funny because we see that TJ is absolutely bothered by this and he don't know who it is or whatever. He finally figures it out that it's us and he kind of walks over and we're kind of walking over and I'm laughing. I'm like, TJ, chill, bro. We were just playing with you, man. Have dinner with your fam, bro. Man, enjoy it. Bro, he was all flustered and everything, but this is what the rivalry is. I mean, if we're being honest, that's exactly what the Beavers and Ducks rivalry is. It is an in-state rivalry, but it's not as mean, evil-spirited as Oregon versus Washington. These are people who can play the game, win or lose, be hurt, be frustrated because they lost to the other one. But at the same time, everybody can go home and live in peace. So we got head coach versus head coach. We got Trent Bray versus Dan Lanning. Bray is in his second year at Oregon State. He inherited a program that was in transition, and now things aren't really going well. Dan Lanning, year 4 at Oregon, 35-6 through 2024, Big Ten title, got a new extension, big money, unbeaten in 2025, top 10 team, college football playoff experience, and everything in between. Dan Lanning, who was under Nick Saban, who was under Kirby Smart, it looks like that this program is headed to the next level and the ultimate destination of a potential national championship. But let's not discount Trent Bray's coaching chops because he was on the staff with Jonathan Smith and was part of the architect of that was able to beat the Oregon Ducks before Jonathan Smith took off and left to go to Michigan State. Now let's go quarterback for quarterback. We got Malik Murphy versus Dante Moore. Both of them highly sought after quarterbacks coming out of high school. Malik Murphy, the kid looks good getting off the bus, boy. He is big, he is tall, he is strong, got a cannon for an arm, and everything else. Now, last year, you might remember that Malik Murphy was over at Duke, and he had a tremendous season last year. So when he transferred from Duke, it was kind of a surprise to everybody. And when he ended up at Oregon State, there was tremendous optimism like, hey, yo, this could go really well. And this year, though, Oregon State is 0-3. And he has 493 passing yards, 6 touchdowns, but 5 interceptions on the season. And last week against Texas Tech, he went 24 for 43 for 278 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. But it was a 45-14 loss. Big arm, big play potential, but also some turnover-worthy plays. Now, on the other side of the coin, you got Dante Moore. Sophomore running the show for the Oregon Ducks. He's been efficient, 657 yards, 7 touchdowns, only 1 pick. And he said that ball got caught up in the wind. But when you look on the film, looks like it was probably the right read. Now, last week against Northwestern, 16 for 20, 178, touchdown and a pick, and very businesslike. But he has been delivering the ball. He has been excellent on third down. Ball security has been good, on schedule, accurate, and, you know, we're dealing with boom or bust versus what Dante Moore is giving you. Now, I do understand that these two teams are not created equally, but both of these quarterbacks are talented, and Malik Murphy is a guy who can get some things done versus the Ducks. Now, let's look at the Oregon State offense versus the Oregon defense, because Oregon State is going to be pass-centric this year. You got their wide receiver, Trent Walker, who leads everybody with 302 yards, but the run game has been lacking. They're only about 70 yards rushing per game in the bottom half nationally in yards per game. And the protection and early rundowns, they've been issues as well, which has forced the Beavers into a lot of third and longs, which is why Malik Murphy has had some turnover. Now let's look at the Oregon Ducks defense, because the early season metrics on this team are top tier. They are in the single digits in scoring. They're only giving up less than 230 yards allowed per game, and their yards per play is very strong as well. And they just picked off Northwestern twice and choked out all the explosives except for a late game big run when some of the walk-ons were in. Now, you can expect Oregon's defensive coordinator, Tosh Lupoy, simulating pressures to try to bait Malik Murphy into some throws that he doesn't need to make. And then when he does bring pressure, oh, it is going to be coming. Now let's look at Oregon's offense versus Oregon State's defense. The question is, who is going to dictate what? Because Oregon is scoring at a top 5 clip in FBS. They're averaging 51.5 points per game. And they're not doing it just with the pass. They're not doing it just with the run. This is a very balanced offense. Now, they had explosives versus Oklahoma State, and their running back, you would not believe who is leading the team in rushing right now. It is not the starting running back, Noah Whittington. It is not the transfer from Tulane. It is not Jaden Lamar. No, it is De'Aaron Hill, true freshman, who is absolutely spectacular. When Moore's numbers were modest like they were against Northwestern, the run game and the perimeter speed were able to create separation. When you add in Oregon wide receivers to Corian Moore, Malik Benson, and then Gary Bryant Jr., and then the dudes as well, this is a very, very dangerous pass attack. Now, for this Oregon State defense, they have been able to cause havoc because they got 7 tackles for loss, 2 interceptions in Lubbock last week versus Texas Tech. However, they did allow almost 600 yards of offense, so it has been feast or famine for them. Trent Bray, Rod Chance, they are defensive guys. They are schemers. They are all of that. But the problem here is it is going to be Oregon State running out of talent at some point in time in this game, but it won't be for lack of coaching that they don't win this game. It will just be because of the circumstances that have happened in college football that have made this game non-competitive. Now, the X factors in this game: Oregon, their early script pass protection offensive line, because if Dante Moore gets clean pockets on the first 2 drives, then the Autzen avalanche, the effect and everything is just going to overwhelm the Beavers. And if this running game gets going early, this game could be way out of reach when it comes to halftime play. Now, on the Oregon State side, they have to get takeaways, and they have to find a way to generate explosives on the offensive side without turning the ball over. Because if they can get Walker on some double moves and get a missed tackle or 2 and keep the game close, that could put Oregon in a position that they have not been in, which is to be playing a close game at this point in time. And then if you can steal a couple of possessions, fake punt, onside kick, or something like that, that can be the key to potentially pulling off an Angels in the outfield type of an upset. Oregon is favored by 34.5 points. And last week was the first week that they didn't cover this season. And I know it is a big number, but I am taking the Ducks minus 34.5 in Autzen Stadium. This game is probably going to get a little bit nasty. Maybe 48-13. I'm George Wrighster. Thanks for watching. Peace out. Catch you guys later.